Well, with me now to discuss the affair and other aspects of ufology is writer and investigator Timothy Good. Timothy, do you believe the Bentwaters case involved a UFO?
Well, there's no question about it in my mind. As to what precisely that UFO was, I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what its purpose was. But the report is very similar to other reports which have been worldwide, as you know. I'm fascinated by the case because it's one of the few where we get clear documentary evidence from the military.
Why exaggerations? Why cover-ups?
Well, there's many reasons, of course, for the cover-up. I think the cover-up goes back to about 1947, when it's my conviction that the United States military actually acquired an extraterrestrial vehicle, or the remains of one, and they've subsequently acquired a number of others since. And one of the reasons for the cover-up is to protect the technology that they have acquired and developed in tremendous secrecy. This is why it's been classified above top secret, and in fact it is the most classified subject in the intelligence community. That can very easily be proven. I mean, it was classified higher than the hydrogen bomb back in the 1950s.
So let me ask you this. What happened at the Roswell crash?
Well, this incident, or possibly several incidents, took place in the first week of July 1947 in the state of New Mexico in the United States. And according to dozens of witnesses who've now come forward, many of them military personnel, an unidentified object crashed, one of them 175 miles northwest of Roswell. And according to the intelligence officer in charge of the recovery operation, there was tons of this material scattered all over the desert, and he investigated this himself, and he said it was like no known metal. He tried to dent it with a sledgehammer and was unsuccessful. It was extremely light and tough and resilient, and he's personally convinced that it bore no relation to any standard aircraft wreckage.
What else was retrieved, or was it just the metal?
No, according to other reports, bodies were retrieved several miles from that particular site, and at another site about 150 miles away, also in New Mexico, on the plains of San Agustin. And a number of people have come forward claiming to have been involved either at the site or later on during autopsies and so forth.
What use do you think the Americans have made of the technology they found at Roswell then?
Well, I'm convinced that they have been studying it for several decades, and they've now reached the point where they have been able to test fly a craft. Whether the craft itself is actually extraterrestrial or a modified version of one, I'm not absolutely certain, but I'm totally convinced that they have the technology to neutralize gravity, if you like, and they have a phenomenal propulsion system which immediately puts everything else out of date that we have.
Timothy Good, many thanks indeed for coming in and talking about UFOs.
Thank you.
I'm afraid we'll have to end things there. Thanks very much for joining us for this edition of UFO. We'll end by showing amateur pictures taken near a US base in Nevada. It's said you can see the objects on an almost weekly basis. From me, until the next time, goodbye.